Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum everyone. Hope all of you will be fine. Today we will discuss our lecture about morphology. Uh, Morphology actually means the study of forms in linguistics in any kind of language. So whenever we talk about linguistics, do not be confused with it as English linguistics only. Every language in the world, spoken or written, existent or non existent, every language has its linguistics, has or had its linguistics in past, the languages that are dead. So, no one should be confused about it. So, we will talk about morphology. Actually, it is the study of forms of words. So, keep it in your mind whenever the word morphology comes in front of you. It means we study the forms and formation of words. For example, we talk about the word as I have written here, the word careless. So, care is a word that gives us a proper meaning, less is another word. So, both this kind of formation of words, it is called morphology. This is what we call the study of forms. Study of word formation and study of words, then it's a branch of linguistics that studies word structure in terms of morphemes. So, morpheme is more important in morphology, both are linked. How it is, it works like we have example of teacher. Now, in word teacher, we have teach, teach, that is a verb, and when we add er it becomes a teacher, it becomes a noun. So this teach is one morpheme and er is another morpheme. Actually, morpheme is the smallest minimal unit of meaning that cannot be further divided. Many of you must have studied this subject chemistry in your FSC, and whenever when we talk about chemistry, we come across a word atom, molecules, and atom. And the definition of atom is the smallest particle. I don't remember exactly, but what I remember right now, it's the smallest uh, particle that cannot be further divided. That is an atom. In the same way, you can define morpheme, that it is the smallest minimal unit, meaningful unit. No, it cannot be further divided. For example, as I gave you an example of teach and teacher. No, this word teach cannot be divided further. So if we remove h from teach, it will not give us any meaning. So its division, further division is not possible. And er is another morpheme. It is apparently when we talk about er. So does not give us any meaning. When it is added to teach, it makes it a noun teacher. So this word er is one morpheme, and phoneme, and teach is another. Here we talk about morphemes, the minimal unit of meaning or grammatical function, as I told you, because most of the times the words added to the stem words, they change their grammatical category or they change their meaning. As I gave you an example of teacher, the word teach is changed to, from verb it is changed to noun. Teach is a verb and teacher is a noun. So let's come back to the previous slide. We have examples here because we have to quote some examples from Urdu language. So careless is an English example, and la parwa or beparwa in Urdu we call it. In Urdu we have many to understand it, you can revise in Urdu language somewhere in your matric, in your FSC, first year, second year exams. We come across the terms sabke and lahke. So we add few words in the beginning of words. In English we call it suffixes and prefixes, and infixes also. That we will discuss it in detail in our next lecture. So whenever we talk about prefixes and suffixes in English, we say parva and la parva. So la itself cannot give us any meaning. When it is added to parva, it changes the meaning of one word to negative, from parva to antonyms. It becomes an antonym. Khush and nakhush. So na is actually does not give us any meaning independently, but when it is added to the stem word, it changes its meaning, and it changes. Sometimes it changes its meaning, and sometimes it changes its grammatical category. For example, happy and unhappy. So you and un, it does not give us any meaning, but when it is added to the word happy, happy, it gives us a complete meaning. Complete meaning means opposite of happy is unhappy. It makes its antonyms. Now let's talk about what does it mean by the smallest morphological unit that cannot be divided into further parts. For example, eat and eaten. In eaten we have eat one minimal unit, meaningful unit. The point is in morphemes the smallest unit must be a meaningful one. If it is not meaningful, then it does not stand. For example, we call it eat, a verb, eaten, its past participle form, or usually we call it third form of verb. So en actually does not give us any meaning. If I write en here, so no one can tell me what is the meaning of ENN. There is no meaning of it. But when it is added to it, it changes its grammatical category. From first form, it is changed to third form. Now we will discuss it that one thing you must keep in your mind that addition of few words like en and er and others that we will discuss. It does not mean the words that are added to the stem words they are meaningless. They can be meaningful. For example, the word careless. Now care itself gives us independently gives us a meaning, and less also gives us a meaning. When both these words are joined together, they give us another meaning. So sometimes we find some words that are added. Sometimes we find some words that are added to the stem words, and independently they do not give us any meaning. But most of the times we add words that independently give us meanings, as I gave you example of careless, as I have written here, this careless. Now care independently gives us a meaning and less independently gives us a meaning. So keep in your mind that words when they join together, they may be meaningful or they may be meaningless independently. So let's talk about free and bound morphemes. This will further clarify the point. Free morphemes are those like in care and careless. In careless, the word care gives us a meaning and the word less gives us a meaning independently. For example, I say, I have less money, or I have, there is a less water in the glass. You can use it less in other meanings to point out that something is in its minimum quantity. And care, most of the times we use the word I don't care. So care itself gives us a meaning, less itself gives us a meaning, but when they are joined together they gives us another meaning. Careless, it becomes an other word. This is called free morpheme. less less is a free morpheme in careless, because the morpheme that can stand alone and give its independent meaning, that is called free morpheme. As I gave you example of teacher, the addition of er with teach, it became teacher. The addition of en with eat, it becomes eaten. So en independently doesn't give us any meaning, and er, it doesn't give us any meaning. But when they are joined with the words, they change its grammatical category and they change its meaning. They are called bound morphemes. Bound morpheme is a one that cannot stand alone and that cannot give us meaning when it is independent from the stem word. For again I repeat, does not give us any meaning. But when this is added to teach, it changes its grammatical category from verb to noun. When en is added to eat, it becomes eaten. And when it is eaten, its grammatical category is changed. This en, and words like that, they are called bound morphemes because they cannot give their meaning independently. And secondly, about free morphemes that I told you, care and less, the word that can stand alone, that we call it free morphemes. In Urdu, we have uh, in nakhush, khush is a free morpheme because every stem word is actually known as free morpheme. Stem word is means the basic word. For example, in unhappy, happy is the stem word. So whatever is added to it, it is called free or bound morpheme. The basic stem word, it always stands alone. It always gives us a meaning. So, free morpheme that can stand alone as meaningful words, not dependent on any other morpheme, like khush, like happy, like any word, like any adjective, verb, auxiliary, anything that gives us a meaning. Bound morphemes are those that they do not give us any meaning when they are independent. For example, ed, en, la, by, whatever. La means la hasil, hasil and la hasil in Urdu. That hasil means that can be achieved, and la hasil that cannot be achieved. So the addition of word la, because la independently in Urdu does not give us any meaning, but when it is attached with hasil, it becomes la hasil. So the meaning of the word is changed to its opposite. Hasil is it's, you can call it synonyms and antonyms, not synonyms but antonyms. Hasil's antonym is la hasil. In this way, you can quote many other examples of Urdu. If you can find out a page in your, matric or FA book, Urdu book, or any key book of Urdu where these suffixes and prefixes are written. So all these prefixes and suffixes, they are the examples of free and bound morphemes. Whenever it gives us a meaning, independent meaning, it's a free morpheme. When it is does not give us any meaning, it is a bound morpheme. Then we have, so today we discussed only morphology, branch of linguistics. It's the study of forms of words, formation of word, you can also call it, and its definition. Then some examples of morphology. Then we have morpheme, the minimal unit of meaning or a grammatical function. Grammatical function means sometimes the word behaves as a verb with the addition of some bound or free morpheme, it turns into a adjective or noun. And then we discussed about free and bound morphemes. So this was our today's lecture. So you have to find as many examples from Urdu language as much as you can.